Okay. Hello, everybody. I'd like first to introduce myself, Taha Adawi, originally from Egypt, and now working at Qatar University, Psychological Department, College of Education. I think that we have something to occur here, or what's the problem with the show? Anyways. Okay. We conducted a study concerning perfectionism, the previous one, perfectionism and coping strategies in a sample of gifted adolescents in Egypt. Next, please. When we are talking about the background, I think that there is a problem with the presentation. Just wait.
No, maybe you can make it.
Anyways, when we are talking about perfectionism, it's defined as the striving for achieving exceptional standards, and perfectionism has been recognized as an influential element in giftedness since the 1920s. I'd like just to check you can escape this one from escape. Again. Okay, it's okay now. So when we are talking about perfectionism now, we are talking about those with special needs. All the interest is focused on those with disabilities, learning disabilities, physical disabilities, and so on. But there is, a clear neglect, a clear ignorance and neglections to those with higher mental disabilities, like those who are gifted or talented. So perfectionism represents one influential factor that affects lives of most of the students in schools, and gifted ones are mainly one of these categories. Mainly when we are talking about academic apraxia. Discussions about perfectionism and giftedness have been well documented in this burgeoning literature, for example, as we Morfield. As various studies have explored the relationship between the perfectionists or the perfectionist attributes of the gifted and coping in a sample, but most studies were conducted on non-gifted students. Next. Recent research on perfectionism, as we can see, addresses this exact point. It's coping and perfectionism. How do the perfectionists cope their life? Also, research studies demonstrated that maladaptive perfectionism is consistently related to maladaptive coping. Very few studies have investigated the potential associations between perfectionism and coping, and especially in the gifted samples. The way gifted students respond to the challenges and setbacks is critical to their development physically, mentally, and socially also. It's normal for the young child to feel disabled or unable to do so many things, but many gifted children carry this feeling beyond the normal stage. Research shows that gifted students will usually score higher on perfectionism. Yet, as we can see, other studies demonstrate that many gifted students display qualities of unhealthy perfectionism. But now a growing body of literature reveals the positive relationship between maladaptive perfectionism and maladaptive coping. Also, many gifted children become perfectionists and remain so till they become adults. They don't give themselves permission to fail anything they undertake, particularly in whatever they do as their specific field of competency. These are the research questions. Number one, we investigated the reliability and validity of two scales. They were short forms. The first one was the short form almost perfect scale, the revised one, and the coping strategy inventory short form. The second question of the study was, are there associations between students' perception of perfectionism and their coping strategies? And the third, are there gender differences in students' perception of perfectionism and their coping strategies? The population of ensemble included 130 gifted adolescents, age ranging from 11 to 15, and females represented about 80. Males were 50 in grades from 6 to 8, volunteered to participate in this study, and the students in the study were identified as gifted following the same way employed by Moyfield and others, meeting one of the options, for example, high IQ, 130 or above, and another component which is 96 percentile or above in one academic achievement test composite score, or 90 percentile or high on two composite scores. Or the second criteria was IQ of 123 to 129 and two achievement composite scores above 95 percentile, or three achievement composite scores above 90 percentile, and characteristics and or creative thinking. IQ of 118 to 122 and three achievement composite areas above 95 percentile, or four composite areas above 90 percentile, and the characteristics and or creative thinking. Participants completed two survey instruments to be described mid-school year during November. The research instrument, as here, the short form almost perfect scale revised, was originally proposed by Slaney and others, and contained 23 self-report items and 3 subscales. Number 1 standard 7 items, discrepancy 12 items, and order 4 items. Rice and Rich and others tested the reliability and validity of these forms, and you know, the study yielded 2 subscales, standards and discrepancy with good psychometric properties. The other tool was the coping strategy inventory, the short form, by Allison and others. It is 15 self-report items with 4 subscales: problem-focused engagement, which is 4 items; problem-focused disengagement, which is 4 items also; emotional-focused engagement, 4 items; and emotion-focused engagement, this is 3 items. The research instrument, both instruments were translated by the first author, by me, the first author. I have a partner, then give to 2 PhD researchers to review the appropriateness of the translated item. Later, the items were forwarded to a professional English lecturer to back translate them. Afterwards, a comparison between the original instrument and the back translated ones were held. Tiny differences were found and addressed in this one. Some ethical considerations were in this study. Number 1, before proceeding with any part of the study, we got an approval from the IRB, which is the Institutional Review Board in Qatar University at first, because I'm working there, and the school principals and parents were met and informed of the objectives of the study, and were given the opportunity to discuss the research project itself. Participants also were ensured the confidentiality and anonymity. Next. The results, as for the validity and the reliability, both scales proved to be reliable and valid. Table 1, as we see, showed the internal reliability and the interscale correlations for the ABS respectively. The rates of Cronbach alpha ranged from 0.78 standards to 0.90 ABS, the short form total. Among gifted students, the average was about 0.85. This is general good levels of internal consistency, all associated with high interscale correlations ranging from 0.75 to 0.83. Next, please. Also, when we are talking, table 3 also and 4 shows the internal reliability and internal correlations of the CSI short form, respectively. The rates of Cronbach alpha ranged from 0.71 problem-focused engagement to 0.88. The total of the CSI short form. Among gifted adolescents, the average was 0.83. And these are general good level of internal consistency, which associated or was associated with high interscale correlations. Next. As for the associations between perfectionism and coping, this was the second research question, addressed the association between students' perception of perfectionism and their coping strategies. And to answer these research questions, person correlations coefficients were used to determine the relationship between a specific dimension of perfectionism and coping strategies. This table shows that there was moderate to strong effect size found for the positive correlation between problem-focused engagement and emotion-focused engagement. Also, there was moderate to strong effect size for negative correlations between problem-focused engagement and problem-focused disengagement and emotion-focused disengagement standards and discrepancy. Next. As for differences, gender differences, specifically, there was some gender differences. It was the third question here, and the results demonstrated that males provided significantly higher ratings problem-focused engagement than females. However, females scored highly an emotion-focused engagement than males did, and results revealed that there were significant differences between males and females on perfectionism. These differences were in favor for females in the case of standards and favor of males in the case of discrepancy. Here we have some recommendations based on these results. It could be necessary for primary and preparatory schools to have efficient tools to figure out whether students have a problem with perfectionism and negative coping strategies. We need parental involvement. It's very necessary both in homes and school. Such involvement should be designed to assist parents increase the awareness of the best methods to be engaged in and enrich the world of their children and to provide the needed support. Also, it might be vital for curriculum developers to include very simple topics that encourage students to have a further understanding of how their emotion works. Okay. One of the study limitations is that the perceptions of children perfectionism here and coping were limited to their own. It would be worth expanding the scope of future studies to explore perceptions of other participants such as teachers, parents, other caregivers to acquire a deeper understanding of the topic. And studies can provide data from different sources, including interviews and direct observations. Also, the study result itself could serve as evidential data from which other studies in different international contexts may develop, and further comparative studies could be conducted also to compare the evidential data emerged from this study. And finally, thank you. Or in Turkish, teşekkür ediyorum. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.